So welcome to today's class. Again, we are going to be going over the website today, all through the command portal. So everything we're going over is primarily going to be done through command. We have a couple of third-party widgets we're going to be adding today. But as far as all of the work being done on our website, it's all going to be done through agent.kw.com. And you guys are just going to log in using your normal command login credentials. And we're going to be going over again how to just kind of beef up your original command website. So we're going to be adding some custom pages. We're going to be adding some additional widgets, mortgage calculator. I'm going to go over how to add some past sales to your website. We're just going to kind of get everything that you can add to your website added on there. So I'm just going to start by logging in on command. Once I'm logged into command, the first thing I just want to touch upon is going to be the marketing profile. This is where all of your marketing information, your contact information, your headshot, your bio, all of that information is going to pull from here. So we're just going to spot check it really quick just to make sure that your information is populating the way that you want it to on all of your marketing materials. In order to access your marketing profile, we're just going to click on your name in the top right-hand corner, and then go ahead and click on settings. I'm just going to accept cookies so you guys can see my whole screen. And then once you guys have clicked on settings, you'll see these new settings populate on the left-hand side. We're just going to go ahead and click on connect settings. And you're going to see marketing profile is nestled right underneath that. We're just going to go ahead and click on marketing profile. And again, most of you will have this completely set up. This is more so just so you know where to come. If you get a new phone number, if you rebrand anything, you get a team logo, this is just where everything pulls from. So we just want to make sure that it has accurate information as well as much information as you can provide the platform. To start, you guys are going to see headshot and logo. Your headshot does need to be cropped to be a square in order for it to show up properly everywhere. So if you guys did import or add a photo that is maybe a rectangle, you'll notice it looks a little bit wonky here. So you'll want to make sure that you do crop that to be a square in order for it to just fit that circle properly. Underneath that, we have your team logo. We'll also be getting to the Market Center logo a little bit further down. The logos, however, do not have to be a square. Though they look a little bit funny right here, the system is actually smart enough to auto adjust the logo icons so they appear correctly everywhere. So it will show up properly on your website, on your mobile app, any smart plans or mass emails that you send out. It will correct itself to show up properly. And I'll be showing you guys Lori's website in a little bit once we add all of these pages, and you'll be able to see exactly how they populate. But for that headshot, if it looks funny here, it's going to look a little bit funny on everything. This is exactly how it's going to look everywhere. So make sure that that does look correct. Underneath our logos, we have our basic contact information. Everything with a red asterisk is required. Everything without a red asterisk is optional. However, if you have the information, it's personal recommendation to make sure you add that in, just so you have as much information as possible on this platform. You have first name and last name. For your first name and last name, if you guys go by a nickname, you're more than welcome to add that in here rather than your legal name. However, we recommend anything that you are changing as far as like your legal name or your professional job title, designations, touch base with your broker in charge before adjusting that, just to make sure that your board does not require you to have something specific there. For example, if your name is Robert and you go by Bob, some boards do require that you actually have your full name on everything, and then your nickname can be in parentheses. So just make sure that you're touching base with your broker in charge, just to make sure, because again, this is going to syndicate everywhere. We have your license number and team name. License number, this is a great location to notate if you are licensed in multiple states. You guys can put more than one license number as well as the state abbreviation. Team name, Lori is a part of a team, so there's something populating here. If you are not a part of a team, you can still add a team name. It's essentially going to allow you guys to just customize your marketing materials a little bit more. You can put your name, you can put a catchphrase, you can put your name with the designated realtor of Keller Williams Realty, whatever you guys want. This is just going to end up being the title of your drop-down list on your website. So you would want to make sure that you have something in this box. I did just get a question about a team logo. If you don't have a team logo, you don't have to add one. However, that icon will show up as missing image on some of your marketing. What we've been recommending agents do if you don't have a team logo is just add like either a designation logo or the realtor logo. Looks really good there, just like the regular registered R with like realtor underneath it. If you guys don't have a team logo, that's a nice kind of option to add that in, just so you know you have something populating there. Underneath that, we have professional job title, designations. You guys can add that in. Again, professional job title, just make sure you're using whatever your board requires. I know that New York requires like licensed real estate something. So you guys are not realtors with the registered R. I know Florida does require a realtor with the registered R. So depending on where you guys are, your actual professional job title may vary. Just touch base with your office or your broker in charge to make sure that you have the correct verbiage there. Underneath that, we have our bio. This is going to, again, syndicate everywhere. This is what's going to pull up on your marketing, your mobile app, your Connect profile, your website. It's going to go everywhere. So definitely make sure that you guys don't have spelling mistakes. Make sure that it's spaced and essentially formatted the way that you want it to be formatted. It's just going to make things a little bit easier. That way, anytime you pull your bio up, it will automatically have the information you need. Underneath that, we get into contact information, starting with mobile number and office number. You'll notice that Lori has her mobile number as her office number. Again, if you guys are in an area that does not require you to have the office number on marketing materials, that is completely fine. We've also seen agents put like their Twilio number as their office number, or what if you guys have like a Google business number or an office, whatever it may be, you guys can add that information in here. But again, just keep in mind with compliance, touch base with your broker in charge just to make sure. Then we have email, website, email. This is whatever email address you guys are using for marketing. It does not have to be your Keller Williams email, but if you plan on corresponding with your clients through that email, that's the one you would want to populate there. If you're using a third-party email, that's the one you would want to populate here. Then we have the website. You do want to make sure that you have HTTPS at the beginning of the website. If you are using the .kw.com, she's using a custom URL, so hers is HTTP. But if you guys are using the .kw.com URLs, those are the given command URLs. You do want to make sure that you have HTTP and then S, and then semicolon //. That's going to make this URL clickable for all of your clients, which is great, meaning that if they come across your profile on the office website or they're on your mobile app and they just want to take a look at your website, they can actually click that rather than having to copy it and paste it in a browser, which everybody knows can be a little bit of a pain on your phone. So this is going to make that clickable for them. Underneath that, we have our office logo, which you'll see does look very wonky right here. However, again, it is smart enough to correct itself on all marketing, so it will not show up like that on the marketing platforms. Right-hand side, we have the market center and brokerage information, starting with your DBA name, phone number, physical street address, city, state, zip. That is all required. However, there's also a location for your brokerage license number. If you don't have that available, it's not required, so don't panic, but you can come in here later and add that in if you get that from your office. One last thing I want to go over for phone numbers, just because I usually get this question. For phone numbers, you can add formatting in. However, you don't have to. Command is smart enough to add those dashes in by itself. So in other words, sometimes if you add those dashes in, for example, the pages we're creating today, you'd actually have to remove them. So it kind of depends on wherever you're comfortable. You can add those in here. However, the command platforms are smart enough to add those dashes in on its own. Scrolling down to compliance, we have our legal footer text. This is great if you guys have specific text that needs to be added to all of your marketing. This would be something that either you need added or something that maybe your office requires, your board, whatever it may be. If it's specific text, you can paste that in here. Lori used this to just kind of let people know she's licensed in 2 states, which is also completely fine. All of the information that we're adding under the compliance section, this is going to populate on everything, which is great. It's kind of like a blanket platform. So if you guys add legal footer text right here, this is going to show up on your website, your smart plans, your mass emails. It's going to be everywhere. So you don't have to worry about re-adding it. Underneath that, we have legal footer links. This is great for everybody licensed in the state of Texas. You guys have your information about brokerage services links that need to be added everywhere. This is where you can actually do that. They'll essentially add it everywhere for compliance, which is great. If you guys are with another board or another state, if you're licensed outside of Texas and you just happen to have a PDF that has to be added to everything or a document that has to be added to everything, this is a great way to get that added. When you guys click on add link, it allows you guys to give it a title, and then you would just add the URL for that PDF or for that file. Make sure that the URL is not private. Make sure that it is a public URL. Otherwise, people won't actually be able to click on it. And if you guys ever get stuck with this or have trouble adding that, just let us know. We're happy to help. Remove that just so I don't add anything to her site. Underneath that, we have our legal footer images. These are going to show up very, very small. However, they are within compliance if you guys have a specific icon that needs to be added to your websites. If you're licensed in the state of Maine, they require you to have the equal housing opportunity, that little icon, as well as the Maine IDX logo. From what I've seen, that's the only state that requires an actual image for compliance. However, if you guys are another board or another office that does require that, this is where you can add that in. You would just save the image on your computer, click on upload, and it will allow you to drop that in. Again, they show up very tiny at the bottom of your website. It's 128 pixels by 48 pixels, so it's very small, but it is within compliance. I've also seen agents use this for designation logos. If you guys want to add those in, again, super small, but it allows them to show up everywhere. Underneath that, we have our social media platforms. For these, one huge recommendation for social media platforms, make sure they're real estate geared. So in other words, if you haven't set up a business page for Facebook, for Twitter, for Instagram, my personal recommendation would be to not add your personal pages. I would make sure that you have a business page set up because again, this is going to be syndicated everywhere and added to all of your marketing. So making sure that you do have that business page added is just going to make sure that you're essentially sharing real estate related media versus your personal pages. So just keep that in mind. For YouTube, if you guys are using YouTube, a lot of agents have been using them for virtual walkthroughs, open houses, things like that, especially with everything going on. This is a great option. You can actually add the URL for your entire channel and people will be able to go on there and see all of your YouTube's, like everything that you've posted for those open houses. LinkedIn, every profile from LinkedIn is going to be business profile. So you would just copy and paste your full URL to your profile, and that will allow people to see your LinkedIn page. One thing you will notice with Facebook, this is also hyperlinked. You do need the full URL. So if you guys just have the tail end, for example, if she just had Lori Godfrey and not the actual facebook.com beginning with the HTTPS, it won't actually pull to her website. It won't pull to her marketing. It actually won't go anywhere. It would just sit on this page. So make sure that you guys are copying and pasting the entire URL of your profile in order to make sure that shows up properly. Last but not least, we have Facebook Pixel and Ads and Google Analytics. These are going to be 2 platforms that allow you guys to track the traffic for those areas. So in other words, the Facebook Pixel is going to track the traffic on your Facebook ads run through command. Google Analytics is going to track the traffic of your command website. If you haven't set those up yet, completely fine. I would recommend setting them up. If you guys already dropped your email in the chat, you're going to get tip videos on how to set those up. They're actually in the notes if you clicked on them earlier. If you guys are watching the recording, I'm going to hyperlink notes underneath this class. It's going to be right in the description, and it breaks down everything we're going over with class, as well as some additional tip videos, just to make sure you guys have absolutely everything set up. And then we have our branded app. Branded app should be copied and pasted in here. If you guys are seeing a URL that does not start with app.kw.com, if it starts with something else, chances are it's the placeholder URL, meaning that you would just need to obtain your link and come back in here later and paste it in. I'll show you guys where that app URL is just in case. But if you guys are not seeing anything here, or if you're seeing kind of like it's like a placeholder URL, make sure that you're coming back in here and just adding your personal URL. Don't copy the one on my screen, that's Lori's. But I'll show you guys where your personal URL is. If you guys made any changes, tweaks, anything whatsoever, make sure that you guys are clicking save all the way down at the bottom to lock those in. Once you guys have done that, if you did make changes, you'll get this little pop-up just letting you know that it was saved successfully. I'm gonna X out of that. And then before jumping into the actual consumer website, last but not least, make sure that this is toggled over to populating as green. You see this little toggle switch? You want to make sure that that has a green dot. If it's showing up as gray, just click it. You're going to get a pop-up that just says, make sure everything's compliant. Once you click acknowledge, it will turn green. What this green dot does is it shares your information with the command platform itself. So in other words, all the information you just put together, by having this green, your smart plans will automatically brand, your mass emails will automatically brand, your website, your mobile app, all of those platforms will now have access to just brand themselves using this information. So definitely make sure that's populating as being a green dot. Okay, so now we're just going to jump right into the website section. Again, I am going to show you guys where the URL is for your mobile app first, which thankfully it's all under the same area. We're going to go ahead and click on the consumer icon on the left-hand side. And if you guys ever question which icon is which, if you click on the white KW and the red square, you'll see it actually lists all of these tabs for you, just in case. And I'm just going to go ahead and click on consumer. Once we're in the consumer section, just to show you guys where the mobile app URL is, I'm going to go ahead and click on Site and App Settings on the top right-hand corner. And then once this page loads, we're just going to click on URLs. I'm on Firefox, so if you guys get this, you can just click on Leave Page. If you guys are on Chrome, it probably just loaded for you. But once URLs loads, you're going to see here is your command URL, which is always great just to kind of double check if you guys ever question what that is. And then your app URL is right here. You'll notice this cannot be changed. It's not something that you actually have access to edit. This is your given URL and it is automatically branded to you, but it is not actually something that you can adjust. You guys can go ahead and copy this and paste it back into your marketing profile if you didn't have that added already. But again, this is just a great way just to confirm that you have the correct URL added there. And if you guys are looking to set up your branded app, we actually have a class on how to do that. I can add that to the notes and get that over to anybody who dropped their email in the chat. And if you guys, again, are watching the recording, I'll make sure that that's added to the notes for the class, just so you guys have that as well. But we do have an entire class on how to brand your mobile app. Once you guys have confirmed that is all set, and again, you guys can add this to the marketing profile later. It's not locked in stone. So you guys can update that at any point. Marketing profile as a whole as well. So if you guys get like a new email, new phone number, whatever it may be, you guys can edit that marketing profile whenever you want. Once you guys have confirmed that's all set, we're just going to go ahead and click on Agent Site Pages in order to get started on the pages for our website. Once we're on agent site pages, one way that you guys can confirm that your existing website is already set up and ready to go is by confirming that you guys have the 3 generic pages. You should have About Me, Contact Us, and About Us. And then you should also have a clickable URL populating right here. And your eyeballs under View should all be teal. That's a great way to confirm that your existing command website, essentially that base website, is already set up, ready to go. If you guys are not seeing that is set up, we do have a website 101 class that I will get over to you, or you can also follow along with this class and get these pages set up. That way, once your actual command website is live, it will just be making those additional pages that we create today live, nice and simple. And then just as a heads up for this class, the way that I tend to do everything is I'm going to go through, we're going to create those pages, and then we're going to go back and make them live all at once, just so we're jumping around a little bit less. It tends to be a little bit easier considering we have a ton of content we're going to be adding. So again, the process that I'm doing, I'm essentially going to be creating the page all together, and then we're going to go back and make all of them live all at once. So don't panic if you usually do this a little bit differently. To start, I'm going to go ahead and just click on my Create a New Page in the top right-hand corner. And then for the entire class, we are always going to be clicking the top option. I'm using On My Agent Site. Make sure that that is the one that's highlighted. And then we're going to go ahead and click on Create Page. And this is going to get very repetitive, so I apologize in advance. Once this page pops up, my personal recommendation is to always make sure that you're labeling the page that you're working on. That way, when you go to make it live, it's going to have a name and you're going to know exactly what page it is, so you don't end up getting it lost in the shuffle or you make the wrong page live or whatever it may be. So for today's class, I'm going to start with the mobile app. We're going to add the mobile app widget. So I'm just going to label this mobile app. If you guys have not yet dabbled with this platform, I'm going to do kind of like a 101 rundown really quick, just so you kind of have an idea of how things work for this design platform. This section right here is essentially a blank slate for you. This is where all of the information that you add to this page, this is essentially like a massive preview. The majority of the edits that you always make on a website are going to be done in this little section right over here. Majority of the edits. So if you guys are using a widget, if you guys use any one of these widgets, you're always going to be making edits on this section. So that's just something to keep in mind. For the mobile app, we're going to be using the mobile app widget, and you guys do have access to additional widgets. You guys have the team widget. If you're a part of a team, it pulls your team information over. Pretty cool. And then you have your agent profile, which we will be using for another widget today. You have your contact form, testimonial carousel, and testimonial list. The carousel is going to promote, I believe it's 3 or 4 testimonials. The list is going to do 10. So if you have over 3 or 4 testimonials that you want to add to your website, using the list will just allow you to get more out there. You have the company profile. If you guys previously set up your 101 website, if you guys followed that class, this is actually the exact same thing that you guys previously set up. It's just a widget that you can essentially use for other information, but it's the same layout, same template. And then we have the testimonial capture form. You guys can use that to actually capture your testimonials. We do have a tip video on that, and it's included in the notes if you guys do have testimonials. And then we're going to be using Download My App. In order to use a widget on these platforms, all you're going to do is click it, remain clicking while you drag and drop it over to the blank slate, and it's going to just move that widget right over there for you. Once you guys have that populating, we're just going to click on Configure Widgets, which you would do for any widget you're trying to edit. So if you guys add any of these additional ones later on today, you would just click on Configure Widget once you've dragged and dropped it over. And what that's going to do is it's going to pull up this screen that just allows you to select whatever widget you're trying to edit. We're just going to click on Download My App. It's the only one we've used. And then once you click that, you'll see all of the editability that you have access to for that page. So in other words, we can tweak our headline. If you guys want to customize it a little bit, make it a little bit more geared towards you. We have download the KW app. You guys can put download my KW app, download Lori's KW app, whatever you guys want. And then you'll see right here, you guys have 22, or we're using 22 characters out of 30. You do have 30 characters to play with. So you guys can adjust that however you'd like. And then underneath that, we have the subtext. I'm going to leave that as is. However, you guys can tweak that as well. For that, you guys have 280 characters. Underneath that, we have the button text. This is just going to give this button right here, which is clickable to your mobile app URL. We're just going to tweak this, make it a little bit more customized. Let's put download. I'll just put download my KW mobile app. Thankfully, I did not run out of characters. And then you'll see your button redirect. You can't adjust that, which is actually very helpful. So there's no way that you accidentally add the wrong URL. It's automatically pulling your mobile app URL over for you. Once you guys have made any tweaks, we're just going to click on Save and Apply. And you'll see those edits populate instantly, which is great. This is a great way to just preview everything. If you maybe spelt something incorrectly, you can come back here and tweak it and click Save and Apply again, and it will continue to update it. Just keep in mind, your edits are all done in this section. If you start dragging and dropping over on the main page, you'll notice that things get very wonky very quickly. Once you've made sure that everything looks good to go, we're just going to click on Save Changes in the top right-hand corner. This is what's going to actually make this a page on your website. So we're just going to go ahead and click on Save Changes. Once this screen pops up, normally, if you're just creating one page, you're going to click on Yes. That's going to bring you to go and make this page live. Rather than jumping around, because again, we have a bunch of pages I want to get added for you guys, I'm going to click on No. That way it will allow me to jump right back in and create another page. So again, if you guys are doing this later on today and you guys want to go through and do each page individually, completely fine. You can click on Yes and it will drop you where you can make it live. I'm going to click on No, just so we can jump into the next page. Once you guys do click on No, it's going to bring you right back to where we were. However, now you'll see that mobile app is added as one of the pages on your site. And you'll see here it's showing with that gray eyeball. Just means it's not live yet. Completely fine. That's what we're going to do at the end of class and make everything active. If you clicked yes, don't panic. All you have to do is click back on agent site pages and it will bring you right back to where we are. So if you guys did click yes, don't worry, click right back on agent site pages and you'll see the exact same thing. Moving forward for the next page, now we're going to jump into some of the custom pieces that you guys can add to your website. I'm going to start with the mortgage calculator. So we're just going to go ahead and do the exact same thing and click on Create New Page. And like I said, this is going to get repetitive, so I apologize. It's always going to be the top option. So make sure that you have On My Agent Site selected. And then we're just going to click on Create Page. And then I just got a question about making adjustments. You can make adjustments. I'm going to touch upon that at the end of class. However, at this exact time, it is not something that we've actually seen you guys have access to. It looks like they're running updates. So it's kind of, yes, you can do it. However, today specifically, they're running updates. So it's a little bit wonky at the moment, but I will be going over that for you guys, how to make changes to already created pages. So for this one, we're going to be doing a mortgage calculator. So I'm just going to label it as such, just so I don't get them lost in the shuffle. For the mortgage calculator, what I'm going to do first is just set up my page, and then I'm going to grab that code, which I'll be sharing in the chat for you guys. So in order to set up my page, in order to actually create a page, even if it's completely custom content that you guys are adding, you'll notice it won't let me save anything unless I actually add a widget. So in order to make sure that this page is savable by the command platform, I'm going to go ahead and just use the mobile app once more. And I'm just going to drag and drop it. After I've done that, I'm going to click on content blocks, which is right underneath. You guys are going to see you have two options. We're going to be primarily working with the text option today because a lot of what we're adding is going to be a code. So all we're going to do is we're just going to grab that text box just like we did with the widget. I'm going to drag and drop it and make sure I'm above that mobile app widget. You'll notice that depending on where you are on the page, it's going to tell you where it's going to drop. You want to make sure that you're dropping it above the mobile app widget. So you'll see my green line is right above that. And I'll drop that there. Once I have my page set up, now I can go ahead and grab that code that I need. So I'm going to open up a fresh page and I'll drop this in there for you guys in the chat. And then anybody, again, who's following along with the recording, this is all in the notes. If you guys even have the notes open, who's following the live class, this is all in the notes for you as well. But there's the URL. Once you guys have this page up, we're just going to scroll down a little bit, and about halfway down, you guys are going to see copy your source code. And you're going to see a massive code in here. Once you guys locate it, all you're going to do is click copy to clipboard. And you'll get that little flash very quickly, just as copied. I'll give you guys a second just to make sure you guys have it. So again, once you guys open that URL, scroll down about halfway, and then just click copy to clipboard. Once you guys have that code copied, we're going to go back to our command tab and everything's already set up. All we're going to do is I'm just going to highlight my text that's in this box to make sure that I'm essentially replacing it. I don't need insert your text here to show up on the page. So I'm just going to highlight it. And I'm just going to right click and paste my code right on top of it. Once you guys have that code in, I'm just going to highlight the entire code. And then I'm just going to go ahead and click on the little link button. You'll notice it's right next to size. So once you guys have it highlighted, you should have, it's almost like a little text box, a little adjustment text box. We're just going to click on the link button. Once you guys click on that, you should see your mortgage calculator. And I'll give you guys a second just to finish up. And once you guys have pasted that code, again, you highlight it, you'll click on that link button, and then we're just going to go ahead and click on Save Changes on the top right-hand corner in order to lock this in. And then I'm going to click No once more just to bring myself back to that main page. And if you guys get stuck, this is recorded, so you guys will get a copy of this later as well. That will go over everything. So now we have our mobile app and our mortgage calculator. The next page that we're going to add is going to be the Homekeeper widgets. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on Create New Page just to get the page set up, just like we did for the mortgage calculator. I'm going to make sure my first option is selected on my agent site, and then Create Page. For this one, we are going to start with the blog. Homekeeper does provide you guys with a real estate blog free of charge. Very cool. As long as you're a Keller Williams agent, you guys get access to that. If you don't know your Homekeeper login information, let us know and we can set up an account for you. More so, if you guys have your Homekeeper login information and you know it offhand, feel free to follow along. Again, if you guys don't have it, shoot us an email. We can set you guys up with an account and I'll make sure I get our class over to you as well, so you can see exactly how to add that in. But once I pull up this blank page, I'm just going to call this blog again, just so I know what it is when I'm going to make this page live. And then for this one, I'm actually going to use the company profile just to show you guys the different widgets that you guys have access to. So I'm just going to click on my company profile and I'm going to drag and drop it over to my blank slate. In order to make sure that this page is just completely prepped and ready for that code for the blog, I'm going to go ahead and click on Configure Widgets, which is all the way down at the bottom. And then we're going to go ahead and click on Company Profile, which is exactly what we did for the mobile app. It's just going to allow us to edit this widget. Once this comes up, we're just going to give it a headline. I'm going to call this real estate blog, but you guys can call it really whatever you guys want. It is going to be an interactive blog that you'll be adding to your website. So real estate blog seems like the best option. Once we log into HomeKeeper, our code is actually going to be going into the intro text. So I'm just going to delete that. That way I know it's all set, and that way we can paste that right in once we grab it. For our section 1 heading, we're just going to go ahead and delete it. Section 1 text, same thing, but we're going to put a space because you'll notice that there's a red asterisk, so it's required. So I'm just going to put a space in there just to kind of make the template happy. Section 1 image, I'm going to delete it. We're essentially just using this template for formatting, but we're removing everything else. We're going to delete headings. And section 2 text is not required, so I'm deleting both of those. And just keep scrolling down, and I'm just deleting everything. So I make sure everything just has the suggestive text underneath. So the gray enter heading right here. The only thing that needs a space is section 1 text. And I've deleted my images. I'm going to leave this image as the background because that looks pretty. If you guys have a different image that you'd rather use, you're more than welcome to update that. This image has to be 2000 pixels by 500 pixels. It's a very long, narrow rectangle. Once we have this page prepped, I'm just going to go ahead and open HomeKeeper. I'm going to replace my mortgage calculator just so I don't have too many pages open. I'm actually going to pull this up on Chrome. If you guys are using Firefox, for some reason, HomeKeeper lately does not like the Firefox browser. Not sure why. So I'm just going to pull it up on Chrome really quick. And then once you guys have HomeKeeper, home.homekeeper.com, and I'm going to send you guys the actual link. So I'm just going to click on Realtors, and then I'll send you guys the login screen. Make it a little bit easier for you. I'm going to drop that in the chat. So if you guys are following along, and if you guys don't know your login information for HomeKeeper, feel free to just kind of follow along. You guys can make a mental note, and then we can go in and either set you up with a login, or if you're unsure what it is, but you know you have one, you guys can also add your email address in here and click Forgot Password. And I think mine is under... That was a good guess. Okay, so now that I'm logged into HomeKeeper, you'll notice that it should be red. This is essentially letting you guys know that you have a Keller Williams Premium HomeKeeper account. If you have not dabbled with this platform, it is phenomenal. So when you guys have a chance, definitely come in here. You guys can play around with it, just see what they have to offer. It's essentially a platform that allows you guys to organize your vendors. So if you guys have maybe an electrician or a lawn guy or whatever it may be, a plumber that you work with regularly and you think that they're phenomenal, you can actually go ahead and add them to this platform, and it will allow you to then host their contact information on your website. So we're going to be adding both the vendor widget as well as the blog widget. So once you guys are here, we're going to go ahead and just click on the Embed Widget option. You'll notice it should have a 2. It's the only one that should actually have a 2. And we're just going to click on Embed Widget. And again, if you guys aren't logged in or can't log in, don't panic. This is recorded. I'll get this over to you guys. We can also help confirm that you guys have an account. I just want to make sure you guys know where this is and how to get it added for later on as well. Once you guys are on this page, you're going to see the My Trusted Pros as the default one. We're going to add this one next, but I'm just going to click on the blog widget. And then you'll see there are two options. We have JavaScript, which is not friendly with command, so we're going to be using the iframe option. And all I'm going to do is exactly like that mortgage calculator. I'm just going to copy the code, and you'll get that little pop-up that says copied. Once I've copied that code, I'm going to drag this over just so it's out of the way. I'm going to click back on command. This is where we just set up our template. We're ready to go. And I'm just going to click on the intro text section and paste this code in. Nice and simple. So really all I have is my headline, real estate blog, my code has been pasted in, and then I have a space in my section 1 text. That's it. Now I'm just going to go ahead and click on save and apply. Once you guys do that, you should be seeing the blog populating. And we're just going to go ahead and click on Save Changes. We're going to click on No once more. And it's going to bring us right back to where we were. They are running updates on command, so if anything takes a couple seconds to load, don't panic. They've been running updates pretty much Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So it has been going a little bit slow for us. I apologize. Once it brings you back to this page, you'll see we now have our blog. Again, gray eyeball. We'll be making that live in a little bit. And now I just want to get the vendor widgets added for you. So I'm going to show you guys how to add that vendor widget. We still have our homekeeper pulled up. So I'm just going to click on my create a new page once more on my agent site and create page. For this one, I'm just going to call it vendors. And then for this one, I personally think it looks great in the agent profile. So I'm going to be using that widget specifically. So all I'm going to do, same thing as the other couple of times we've used a widget, is drag and drop it to my blank slate. And then you'll see here it has all of Lori's information, her bio and everything. What we're actually going to be doing is dropping the code where that bio is. So in other words, this widget is going to be nice and centered. It's going to populate nicely. So that's where we're going to paste that in. So all we're going to do is go ahead and click on our configure widgets. And then agent profile. And then I need to grab my homekeeper again. There we go. I'm just going to move this over just so you guys can see everything. And then once this page comes out, page title, we obviously want this to be something about vendors. You guys can put local vendors, trusted vendors, home trusted vendors, real estate vendors, whatever you guys want. I'm going to put trusted home pros. It lets me. There we go. For role and company, you guys can put, again, whatever you guys want. This can be trusted vendors if you guys put something else for the beginning. I'm going to put, let's see. For this one, I'm just going to put a space. I don't have anything for that. Whoop. Just to make sure that it's locked in. And then bio title, I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm just going to put a space for this. Then we have our contact Lori, and then underneath that is her information. So I'm just going to put our phone number right here. Make sure that you are physically typing your phone number in here because it does not copy over. And then your email address should be showing as whatever email you guys put in your marketing profile. Then I'm just going to jump into my agent bio and just make sure it's deleted. And I never trust this system, so I'm just going to make sure everything is absolutely deleted. Drag up, delete. There we go. Until you guys see enter agent bio, That means it's completely empty. Once you guys have that all set up, we're just going to jump back to Homekeeper. And then I'm just going to click on my Trusted Pros tab. This is what it's going to look like, just so you guys can see it. So it essentially allows your clients to type in a search. They can click on an option. They can pull by zip code, by location, whatever it may be. The cool part about this is if you're a newer agent, you may not have a ton of vendors that you can recommend. You may not have that information available to you yet, which is completely fine. You can actually add your MLS ID to Homekeeper, not your MLS ID, but your board, your MLS board, to Homekeeper under settings, and it will actually pull a list that your MLS has provided. So in other words, these are vendors that your board trusts and uses, and it will allow you to actually pull their vendors through here, which is, again, just a cool tool to have on your website. It just gives your clients a little bit more value when they come to your website. So we're going to use that iframe code again. Again, JavaScript is just not compatible with command. It shows up very wonky or it doesn't work at all. So we're going to stick with iframe. I'm just going to go ahead and click on copy code. Got my little copied prompt. I'm going to tuck that in the back again. And once I have my code copied, I'm just going to right click in my bio and paste that in. And once I make sure everything is perfect, I'm just going to go ahead and click on save and apply. And there we go. Once we have that, we're going to do save changes once more. And then we're going to click on no again. And again, if you guys didn't have access to Homekeeper, don't worry, we'll get it added for you. Once we have added that one, the last widget we're going to be added is the school widget. So this is going to be local schools for your area. And I'm going to show you guys how to generate that link as well as how to get it added to your website. After that, we're going to do a quick overview on how to get your past sales, or if you guys have like specific listings, rentals, whatever you guys want. I'm going to show you guys how to add completely custom content to your website. We may go a tiny bit over, so I want to apologize in advance. Again, if you guys know you have to hop off, just drop your email in the chat. If you already did it, I'm going to send you guys everything, the recording, the notes, everything. So if you guys can stay on, we are going to go over the school widget, and then I have 2 ways to add completely custom content as well. Let me just pull this up. So for this page, again, we're going to be doing the school widget. It's local schools, really cool. It allows you just to kind of have that hosted right on your website, which again, just additional value for your website and for your clients. We're going to go ahead and get this prepped just like we did for the vendors, actually. We're going to use the same widget, which is great because you guys are now familiar with it. We're just going to click on that create a new page on my agent site yet again, and then create page. For this one, I'm just going to call it local schools. I'm going to zoom in a little bit too. I know I'm zoomed out. And then we're going to use that agent profile widget once more and just get that prepped. That way, when we pull up our school widget, we can just copy and paste that code in, make it nice and easy. So I'm just going to drag and drop that over to my blank slate. And hopefully it loads. It's been going a little bit slow today. I apologize. Okay, if it loaded for you guys, you can stay where you are. I am going to refresh this really quick and hope that it pulls up for me. Let's do this once more. Label this one, local schools. There we go. So once we have this up, we're going to do the exact same thing. We're just going to click on that configure widgets option. And then we'll click on agent profile once more. And if you guys are on like a team or anything, oops, someone's drawing on the screen. Sorry. I'm not sure how to undo that. If you guys are on a team and you guys want to use a logo or anything along those lines, you're welcome to add that in. You guys can replace this if you want. I'm going to leave this as her headshot just because it's her. She's the only one who uses this website. For the page title, I'm just going to put local school search. And then for role and company, I'm just going to put search for schools in your area. You guys can adjust that. If you guys want to call this something else, you're more than welcome to. That's just what we have saved. And then for bio title, I'm just going to put a space there, just kind of to make the template happy. It does need something there. And then our bio, I'm going to go ahead and erase that again. And you want to make sure that you're seeing that gray text, enter agent bio. That's kind of like your thumbs up. It's empty. We can paste our code in here. Underneath that, we have our information again, contact Lori, and then phone number. I'm just going to put our phone number here. I do not know hers by heart. So you would want to put your cell phone number there, and then your email should be pulling automatically from your marketing profile. And I just got a question about the vendors. If you guys are trying to pull your vendors over from HomeKeeper, what I'll do is I will put together a quick tip video and add that into the notes for you guys. I don't actually think we have anything in writing anywhere on how to link that up. So I'll make sure that I throw together a little quick tip video and I'll hyperlink that underneath this video for you guys. If you guys are looking to have your MLS vendors, your board vendors through HomeKeeper. Once you guys have this set up, pretty similar to how mine is, you guys have something for a page title, rolling company. You can also leave this with just a space if you don't want anything there. Bio title should have a space. This should now be angry and outlined in red because it's empty. And then you should have contact title, contact Lori, or contact your name, team name, phone number, email. Once we have all of that up, I'm going to open up another tab just to pull up this school search. And I'll drop this into the chat for you guys too. Once this comes up, and I apologize, I can't get rid of that line. It looks like somebody drew on the screen. I don't know how to, it's not letting me remove it because I wasn't the one who drew it. I apologize. For the pick your location, for this, you guys are just going to type in the city and state that you guys are associated with. Unfortunately, this is only for the United States. Canada, for some reason, will not pull over to this. We are in the process of trying to see if we have something for Canadian agents, but as of right now, this will only pull schools in the United States. You guys can pull these by zip. You guys can pull it by city and state, whatever works for you. I'm just going to type in Sarasota, Florida. And we're going to leave our width and height the exact same. We're not going to touch those. And then we have our email address. You'll notice right when I clicked outside of it too, it updated to pull my area. Very cool. And then we're just going to add our email. This is whatever email you guys are using for marketing. So if you guys are using your KW email, use that. If you're using a personal email, use that, whatever it may be. I'm going to go ahead and type in my email address. And then we need to add in our URL. If you guys are unsure what your URL is, you would need to obtain that before typing this in. Hopefully you guys know what your command URL is. And I'm just going to put, I actually don't know Lori's off the top of my head, so I'm going to put ours. And we need to do HTTPS or HTTP, depending on whichever version you guys use. If you guys are using a URL that ends in .kw.com, 100% of the time it is HTTPS. If you guys are using a custom URL that you purchased either from like GoDaddy or a domain provider, chances are it's HTTP, unless you guys purchase the secure certificate, the SSL certificate. And then our URL is Scott Leroy Marketing. Once you guys have your full URL added, we're just going to check our terms of service. And then you're going to see Get Widget Code, and we're just going to click on that. And this is the actual widget, just so you guys kind of have an idea. But once we click on that Get Code, we just want to make sure we select the entire thing. We're just going to copy it. And I'll give you guys a second just to make sure you're caught up. So if you guys, again, for the website, yeah, if you guys are using a URL that ends in .kw.com like ours does, it's going to be HTTPS //. If you guys are using a custom URL that maybe you purchased from a provider, chances are it's HTTP. So the URL that you just posted in the chat, that is the URL for command. You want to make sure you're posting your website URL. So this is your command website URL. And then you'll just click on code, but you do need to make sure you click on this little box. Check that off first. And then select your code and copy it. And then once you guys have that copied, we're just going to jump back into command. And then where our bio is, we're just going to right click and paste that code in. For this code specifically, where it is a little bit, this widget is a little bit smaller, what I usually do to make sure that it's centered in this section, I don't want it to be left aligned or right aligned. I want it to be right smack in the center so it looks nice and clean. What I'm going to do is enter, I don't know what you guys would call it, the greater than, less than symbol, and then just type in the word center and then the other caret. So the open caret, close caret, and I'm going to copy and paste that into the chat so you guys have it. So I'm going to put this at the end of the code and at the beginning of the code. Hopefully that shows up. There we go. So I just dropped that in the chat. So you'll see I just pasted it at the end of the code. Then I can scroll all the way up. And I'm just going to paste it at the beginning too. And what that's going to do is it's actually going to center this entire widget. So again, it's just going to look clean. It won't be left aligned or right aligned. It's going to look perfect right in the center of this platform. Once you guys have done that, we're just going to click on Save and Apply. And then you'll see this is our widget. If we didn't add center, what would happen is the widget would be over here and it won't be centered. That's really all it does. I just think it looks a little bit cleaner when you do that. So once you guys have done that, looks good, we're good to go. We're just going to click on our Save Changes once more. Click on No. And that's going to make our page. And then last but not least, I want to show you guys how to add custom page to your website, completely custom. So if you guys are in a situation where maybe you have closed listings, you guys have past sales that maybe you're trying to add to your website, or maybe you have a PDF, maybe you guys are running some sort of event or fundraiser, especially around the holidays. We see this as being very common. If you guys have something like that that you are trying to add to your website, I'm going to show you guys how to do that right now. So the first thing that I'm going to show you guys how to do is how to add past sales. And I'm going to be doing it from a Google Doc specifically because it's universal. Everybody has access to this. If you have a Gmail email, you have access to Google Docs. So I actually have something already pulled up. If you have not created content, don't panic. You don't need to have something created in order to just kind of follow along. But if you guys already have something in a Word document that you are looking to add, you guys can pull that up and we can get this added for you. You'll see here, pretty straightforward. I just have past sales. And then I have an image. These are just stock images I pulled offline. And then I have my address, the price, and then represented the listing, address, price, represented the buyer. Pretty straightforward. This is going to be, again, whatever content you guys want. This is just kind of my dummy content to show you guys how to get this added. Once I have this information up, all I'm going to do, So I'm going to jump back into command and I'm going to get my page kind of prepped. That way I can copy and paste that information in. So we're going to once more click on create a new page. Again, always make sure the On My Agent site is selected if you're planning on adding this to your command website. I'm just going to click on create page. Once you guys have this up, I'm just going to put this one as past sales. But again, you would label this whatever content you're adding just for sanity's sake. That way, when you guys go to make this live, or if you have to make an edit down the line, you're going to have a title of your page. And when we go to make all of these pages live in a couple minutes, you're going to see how important it is to have your pages titled or at least labeled. So again, in order to actually paste content to your website, you do need to use a widget. So we're just going to use the download my app widget again. It's small. You don't have to worry about customizing it. So it's great when you want to add custom content, and it will just sit at the bottom of your website. So really all it's doing is just promoting your app a little bit more. So I just dragged and dropped that to my open slate. Just like our mortgage calculator from before, exact same idea. We're going to click on our content blocks all the way down at the bottom. We're going to see image and text, and I'm just going to go ahead and grab my text box. And I'm going to make sure I drop that above that widget. Again, just like that mortgage calculator, drag and drop that. Make sure that green line is above your mobile app widget. And we're just going to drop that in. From here, I'm going to go back to my content. Again, it doesn't have to be on Google Docs. I just like this because everybody has access to it. If you guys don't have Word, this is a great kind of workaround for this. Plus, it's going to save a copy of this file on your Google Drive. Pretty cool. That way, next week when you have another closing or whatever it may be, or if you guys are consistently updating this content, you guys can come in here, adjust it, and do this all over again. It's a nice way for you guys to save a carbon copy of what you're working on. From here, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy my content. Nice and simple. I'm highlighting it. I'm going to right click and copy. I've got my images. I've got my text. Everything is just copied. And if you guys want to tweak your text, you guys want to make it bigger, you want to make it smaller, you don't want it centered, you want a different image, you would just update it here and copy everything all together. And then we go back over to command. I'm going to highlight my text just to make sure it goes away when I paste this in. I'm going to zoom in a little bit because I know I'm zoomed out again. And then I'm just going to right click that text and click on paste. And there's our content. It is that easy. So as far as getting this added, once I've done that, this is all set. It's on here. My information's on here. When it comes time to making edits, if you guys say add this page and you have another closing in a couple weeks, your best bet is to come back in here, and I'll show you guys how to edit pages in a second as well, but you guys can come back in here and tweak it. My personal recommendation is if you guys are making an edit on custom content is to completely delete this box and re-drag and drop a text box over to paste in that new content. Usually when you start adjusting text in here or you're adjusting images, it gets a little bit wonky. So you're better off just deleting this and then coming back to your Google Drive and just recopying that updated information. That's going to make sure that your picture is still proper. It's going to make sure that everything's centered. Your formatting is the same. So kind of just like redoing that page, grabbing that same content, it's just going to make your life a little bit easier. So again, that's also why Google Docs is great because it's going to save that carbon copy for you. But just so you guys have a heads up. So once I have this stuff added, what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and actually center this entire page. So in order to do that, you'll see my entire text box is still highlighted. I have that blue outline. While I have that blue outline, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to click on my paintbrush. And you'll see that's right on the top right-hand corner. Once we click on that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on dimension in order to expand that. And then for max width, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to type in 1000. And once I do that, when I click just outside of that little text box, click right above with, below it, you're going to notice that my box gets kind of shoved to the left-hand side. And we're going to be updating that, don't worry. You'll also notice that it updates to pixels. So it should look pretty similar to what mine looks like. If you guys are following along, if not, it's going to be the exact same this afternoon, so don't worry. So once you guys have added that in, we're going to jump down to the margin section, and you'll see where we have right and left. For both right and left, all I'm going to do is type in the word auto, A-U-T-O. If I can spell that correctly, make sure that you are spelling that correctly. And then once I have that added, I'm just going to click outside of it, and you'll notice that it centers that section. What that does, and I'm sure if you guys have tried adding custom content previously, the problem with adding custom content is that if you're looking at it maybe on a smaller laptop or a tablet or a widescreen monitor or a mobile phone, the adjustment is going to differ. Essentially, the vision is going to differ based on what you're using to look at this page. By auto adjusting this and centering everything, it's going to make it look as clean as possible on as many devices as possible. It's just kind of locking that in. So rather than somebody pulling this up on a smaller monitor, it's going to lock this in at exactly this size rather than it zooming in or zooming out based on what device your client is using to look at this page. So once we've done that, all we're going to do is click on Save Changes again. We're going to click on No once more. I promise there's only one more page, and then we're going to make them all live. And that adds our past sales. The last thing I want to show you guys is how to add a PDF. We have a lot of people who will have maybe a PDF for like a drawing or an event, or maybe just your past sales are already saved as a PDF and you don't have access to copy and paste it the way that I did. You can still do this through the command platform. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to do the exact same thing, create a new page on my agent site and create page again. And again, this is just to get a PDF added to your website. I'm going to call this one Past Sales 2 because it's the same content. I just saved it as a PDF. And I'm going to do the exact same thing. My mobile app, I'm going to drag and drop that over. And then I'm going to do my content blocks, exact same thing. Drag and drop my text box to the top of the page. And now I'm set up for that code. So in order to get a PDF to your website, it needs to be hosted somewhere. The easiest place for you guys to host that is going to be your Google Drive. As a Keller Williams agent, you're given a KW email, which is a Gmail email, which gives you access to a Google Drive. I have my Google Drive already pulled up, and I've already added a PDF to my Google Drive. If you guys haven't created your PDF yet, if you guys are unfamiliar on how to add this, again, this class is recorded. We also have a brief version of this. I want to say it's like 10 minutes long that goes over this specifically. It's also added in the notes, but I just want to make sure you guys kind of have an overview on how to get this added as well, just in case you have questions. So once I have this up, all I'm going to do is I've already added my PDF in here. I'm just going to right click it. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Share. What this is going to allow me to do is just adjust who can actually see this URL, which is very important. If I'm going to be adding this to my website, it can't be restricted because that means people who don't have a Gmail email or who are not logged into my specific Gmail email, which is hopefully nobody, it means they won't have access to see this. So when you guys click on Share, you want to make sure that you're not seeing restricted. In order to adjust that, we're just going to click on Change to anyone with the link. What that does is it just makes it public, meaning that when I go to add this to my website, it's going to allow anybody who has this link access to see it. Once I've done that, I'm just going to click on Done. And then I'm just going to double click the image, my PDF. It's the exact same content that we previously added. This is just a PDF format. Once I've double clicked it and I'm just seeing the image, on the top right-hand corner, you're going to see 3 dots. We're going to click on those 3 dots. Once we have that up, you're going to click on Open in New Window. So again, jumping back here just so you guys can see it, 3 dots, Open in New Window. And it's just going to literally pull up basically a replica of what you have in a fresh window. However, now when we click on these 3 dots, you guys are going to see Embed Item. What that's doing is it's actually giving you the embed code. So just like that code that we copied for Homekeeper, for that mortgage calculator, all of those platforms, it's giving you a friendly code that we can now paste into command, and it's going to show people this. So we're just going to click on Embed Item. From here, we're just going to copy the code. So I'm just going to highlight it, and I'm just going to go ahead and copy it. What I like to do is I like to tweak this a little bit. So as of right now, you'll notice that we have our width and our height set as 640, and then our height is set at 480. That's going to cut this a little bit because an 8.5 by 11 image is usually right around 740 for the height, and then width will be roughly the same. So I'm just going to tweak those, but I'm going to do it in a Word document because you'll notice you can't actually edit this code. It's providing it to you, but it's not going to allow you to edit right here. So once I copy this, I'm just going to come back to my Word document. You guys can do this in anywhere that you can paste text. I've done it in emails, whatever you guys want. I'm going to open up. Let's see. Oh, it's not going to let me. We'll do it right in Command. That's fine. So now that I'm back on Command, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to paste this code in, but I'm not going to make it live until I adjust it. So I'm just going to go ahead and right click and paste. And then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on the text. And I'm going to adjust my width to be 100%. And then I'm going to adjust my height to be 100%. And what that's going to do is rather than cropping my image, it's going to allow the entire image to show up. So again, width and height, I'm just manually updating it to 100%. Once I've done that, I'm just going to highlight my entire code. We're going to do exactly what we did for that mortgage calculator, and we're going to click on the link. And all this is going to do is it's essentially going to bring our link to life. And now you'll see there's my PDF. Once we've done that, I'm just going to go ahead and click on Save Changes once more. And for this one, I'm going to click No in order to show anybody who wasn't following along. However, if you are following along, you're more than welcome to click yes. It's just going to drop you where you need to go to make these live. But if you did not follow along with that page, I want to make sure you too know how to get to where make these live. So I'm going to click on No. And that's going to bring us right back to this page. And now if you guys are on this page, we're going to go ahead and just click on Site and App Settings, top right-hand corner. And now we're just going to make all of these pages live, and we're going to be good to go. Once you click on Site and App Settings, we're back on that same page that we were on earlier looking for our mobile app URL. We're just going to go ahead and click on the last tab, Agent Site Pages. And again, I'm in Firefox. You're probably not seeing this. I'm just going to click on Leave Page. Once we're on Agent Site Pages, this is a great tool to know that it exists. So this is where you guys can change the order of your pages. You guys can make pages live. You guys can delete pages. You guys can swap pages out. Whatever it may be, it's all going to be done right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on Add Page, and we're just going to go wild. We're just going to add all of these to our website right now. So as far as the SEO, page titles, the slug, all of that information is in the notes that I previously shared with the class. Again, if you guys are following along with the recording, all of the information I'm about to type in is all in those notes. So if you guys get stuck or if you get behind or anything along those lines, everything is in writing for you as well. So we're going to start with our mobile app. And again, this is why we label them. It's going to make things a little bit easier. So I just select my mobile app bubble and just click on continue. And I'm just going to give it a title. So I'm just going to call this mobile app. You guys can put download my app, search for homes, mobily, whatever you guys want. Slug, I'm just going to put the exact same thing, mobile-app. The slug is going to be the tail end of your URL. So you'll notice that her actual command website is the godfreyrealestategroup.kw.com. If she wanted to share that specific page with her clients, she would be able to share the godfreyrealestategroup.kw.com/mobile-app, and it will bring them to that page that we created. For our description, I'm just going to put search for homes on the go with my KW mobile app. So now we have our page title. This is going to be the title of the actual page on the drop-down list on your command website. We have our slug, tail end of the URL. And then our SEO description is essentially the brief description that comes up when you guys come across this page on a search engine. So if you were to go to Google and you came across this page, if you've ever used Google, Bing, Yahoo, whatever it may be, when you come across a page, it has kind of like your title, the actual URL of the page, and then underneath that, you kind of have that quick brief description of what you're about to click on. This is that quick brief description of what you're about to click on. And then we're just going to go ahead and click on save. And if you guys are watching or if you guys are attending the class right now and you do need to hop off, I apologize. I know we're going over a little bit. If you dropped your email in the chat, I'll get a copy over to you. And then the next page, I'm going to click on add page again. We're going to do mortgage calculator. I'm going to give it a title. Same thing for our slug. And just make sure you're spelling everything correctly. That is especially with me, I'm on a Mac right now. So if I spell anything, it's not going to highlight. Just make sure you're spelling everything correctly when you're adding these in. And then for our SEO description, I'm going to put mortgage to assist with the home buying process. And again, you guys can put whatever you want for this. This is just what we have. And again, they're in the notes too if you guys need it. Go ahead and click on save. I'm going to try and crush through these as quickly as possible. So again, if you guys get stuck, just let us know. You guys can also email us as well. But I'm going to try and get these added just so I can show you guys where to edit a page as well really quick. So I'm going to go ahead and select my blog option. For this one, rather than just blog, I am going to call it real estate blog. And for the real estate blog, I do not remember if I went over this, but the real estate blog will self-populate. It has it's maintenance free, 100% maintenance free, which is phenomenal. Homekeeper actually takes it upon themselves to post usually 2 to 4 times a week. They're all real estate related, what to know when buying, how to prep your home, what to know when listing. They have like seasonal things in there, how to handle snow. It's pretty cool. So if you guys ever question that, you can always go to the page as well, but it is self-populating, no maintenance. So once you guys add it, you never have to look back. For the slug, I'm just going to put blog just so it's a shorter URL. And then for SEO description, I'm just going to put real estate, blog, and updates. And then I'm going to go ahead and save that one. And then at our next page, we have our vendors. Click continue. And then for this one, I'm going to call this one Trusted Pros. Trusted Home Pros. That's what my title was for the original page. And then for my slug, I'm going to do vendors, just again, to keep the URL as short as possible. You guys can put trusted-home-pros or whatever you'd like. Keep in mind, slugs cannot have special characters, but in order to recognize a space, that dash will kind of be your version of a space. Underneath that, we have our SEO description for this page, and I'm just going to put, let me see, I have everything written down on another screen. For this, I'm just going to put trusted home pros for all of your real estate needs. And once we have that added, we'll save that one as well. And as we're saving them, it's actually making the page live, which is cool. So we're just kind of we're knocking these out all together. And then local schools is our next one. Go ahead and click continue. For this one, I'm going to put local school search. And then for my slug, I'm just going to put school search. Again, just to keep it short and sweet. And then search for schools in your area. And then we're just going to go ahead and click on save for this one. And then our last page, I'm just going to do the past sales one, the first one. And then I'm just going to call this past sales. And we've seen agents call this multiple things: sold listings, past clients, whatever it may be, past transaction, previous transactions. We've seen agents break them down. So like 2018 is one page, 2019 is another page, whatever you guys want. That's the beauty of creating those custom pages. They are 100% up to you. For my slug, I'm just going to do past sales. And then for this, I'm just going to put Lori Godfrey's past real estate transactions. And then I'm just going to go ahead and save this. And I just got a great question. If Google Docs is used, will it automatically update when you make changes? It will not. So because we used Google Docs, I'm going to jump over to this really quick just to show you. Because we did not actually use the URL, it's not updating as we adjust it. We just used this to essentially format our content and then copied and pasted it into a blank page. So you would need to physically update that page on command. However, you can make your adjustments on that Google Doc in order to format it, make sure it's clean, make sure the font is what you want. As far as like changing fonts, centering things, adjusting like font style, font size, font color, that is something that is a little bit more difficult in the command platform. So we're essentially piggybacking off of a Word document or a Google Doc in order to help you guys get that formatting. So you would still have to copy and paste the content into that page. That was a great question. So once you guys have gone ahead, I'm going to save this again because I can't even remember if I did. I'm just going to drag my contact page down to the bottom, just because that tends to be the best aesthetic. So we have our About Lori, her company profile, mobile app, mortgage calculator, our blog, trusted home pros, local school search, past sales, and then her contact button. Once we've done that and we've clicked on save, I click it as many times as I need to, and then we get our green go ahead. We're just going to go right back to our agent site pages. And you'll see all of our pages that we made live are now live. We have teal eyeballs. So it should make them live in real time, which is great. The only page that isn't live is the one I did not make live. That was our secondary option for the PDF. And then I'm just going to go ahead and click on her URL just to kind of show you guys what this looks like really quick. So once I'm on her page, notice her logo and the office logo, they both look beautiful. They did auto adjust, so they did auto size. They're not looking wonky like they did on that marketing profile. And then when we click on our drop-down list, I'm just going to kind of toggle through these just so you guys can see what they look as a live page. We have our mobile app. And some agents will opt out of adding this page where we added it to all of those custom pages. That's completely fine. You can remove this if you want. Then we have our mortgage calculator. And keep in mind, this does take a second to load the first time that you go to the page. This shouldn't happen once you've gone to the page a couple of times. So your client should never see that. It's more so just the first time that you go to it. You'll see this is fully interactive, which is great. We have our real estate blog. And then you'll see here's all the blogs they can click on. Very cool. We have our trusted pros. These are all of our vendors, which I will get a tip video on how to add your board to that as well. And they can come in here and they can click on any of these, or they can type in, search, zip code, search, view all categories, whatever it may be. And then we have local school search. Same thing, fully interactive. Click on school search. And past sales. And there you go. So that's how you guys can add all of those pages to your website. In regards to making edits to websites, I'm going to show you guys where it is really quick. We do have a tip video that goes over this as well. It's included in the notes. And keep in mind, at this point right now, it is not actually live. They're running updates. But if you guys ever need to make an edit to a live page, you can go ahead and click on the designs icon, which is third up from the bottom. And then this is going to pull up all of your designs. Most of mine are going to be websites because that's what we've been working on today. But when I click on agent site, it's going to pull all of our active pages. I use Lori's all the time. That's why she has so many. But you'll see all of our pages are labeled. Again, huge reason as to why labeling pages is so helpful. But what you would normally do is you would just click on the actual page and it will pull it up just like it was when we were making edits. As of right now, when we pull it up, maybe it will work. No, it brings us back to the home page. That's something that Keller Williams International is working on. But if you guys do need to make an edit, it's right under designs. We're hoping that will be back up and running by tomorrow or Friday. We're not quite sure. But that should be back up and running soon. Keller Williams International is just running updates on it. But that is how you guys can add all of this information to your websites. If you guys have any questions, concerns, something looked weird or something didn't work the way that you thought it would, whatever it may be, feel free to shoot me an email. Again, my name is Brittany. You can shoot that over to support@scottleroymarketing.com. I will make sure to get this page or everything added. All of your notes will be added to the bottom of the recording. So if you guys have any questions, just let me know. And I appreciate you guys coming to class today.